Welcome back to the OS World Cup 2025. It's semi-finals time, and boy, oh boy, is this a matchup I really am looking forward to seeing. The two of my favorite teams. From just a personal perspective, this is going to be fantastic. It's the defending champions, South Korea, looking to begin their lower bracket run up against a team that is, just like in the previous matchup with New Zealand, having a bit of a Cinderella story. They really have been on a great run this year. It's Norway. It's gonna be fantastic. My name is Damage. Joining me for this cast is the ever so wonderful iFlame. Now, iFlame, I mentioned this before we started, but I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts, gather some ideas on the semi-final stage itself and how we go from, in the earlier stages, focusing so much on team consistency and getting good overall team scores, whereas now we're starting to reach the point, and we saw it in that last match especially, individuals that start to shine and really help establish high skill cap plays and performances that can help just carry a team through so many important moments through matches. What are your thoughts on those?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, the map pool just gets so much harder that the individuals have much more of a chance to shine. You get time for some of those individual carry performances, and we talk about some of those individual carry players. And I think you got to look towards Nenrik for Norway, who has had pretty much dominated the field on anything tapping. I mean, you look back to the group stage, had top scores on DT2 free mod 2 tapping picks. You go to round of 16, had the top scores on DT2 no mod 2. You go back to qualifiers again, or quarterfinals, sorry. It's, again, top scores for Nenrik on the no mod 2 and the DT3. So pretty much anything tapping so far to Marsh, Nenrik has been on top, and they're going to look to abuse that here. You kind of expect Norway to be picking anything tapping into South Korea. We've got 4 tapping maps in the pool this week between DT2, DT3, no mod 2, and then you've got your free mod 2. So I think we're going to see South Korea ban 2 of those out. The remaining 2 will be picked by Norway. South Korea, it's been Flying Tuna, who's kind of been that solo carry specialist so far, but honestly, they have so much depth to their roster, even after losing 3 incredible players, that they can pick so much. They had the best average on the hiddens in the qualifiers, so I think that's going to be an area of attack for them. And then they've also looked phenomenal on tech so far this tournament. I think they had the top score on the no mod 4 last week's no mod tech pick. So we are going to see no mod 3 free mod bans coming out from Norway now. They're going to be banning that snap aim map along with the density flow aim map.
Yeah, so again, sort of very targeted stuff. I'm surprised to kind of see them go into removing that no mod 3 a little bit. I think I was I guess it's more the rhythm that's probably causing them more difficulty than anything. But I was definitely thinking the more snap aim control was something that maybe North Korea, oh my god, I do apologize, Norway was going to go into. But yeah, it's okay. They've still got a good few maps left in this pool to kind of play around with.
Yeah, I'd say I'm less surprised about the no mod 3 ban. You look at South Korea's results on the map. Every time they've played it in the qualifiers and in round of 16, they've gotten the top score on the map and by a decent margin. So South Korea are absolute monsters on these no mod 3 picks. Waiting for their first pick now. They kind of have to pick a little early on, right? Between Alt and Tech, it makes up such a significant portion of this pool that South Korea, I mean, they could find 10, 11 picks in this pool before they ran out. I think the no mod 4 could look to be a very good first option for them, but I think something like the Hidden 3 as well, that Tuna had the top score on last week. And so I think that's probably where you're going to start, because Norway has been less comfortable on some of the hiddens so far in this tournament, which is surprising considering some of their rosters in previous years. But so far this year, it has just been pretty much tapping abuse for Norway every single round, and it's been working for them.
Yeah, again, that old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But we know they've still got some heavy hitters in the hidden sort of reading department. So definitely can potentially throw up some good scores here and there if they have to. I know we saw that hidden one, which didn't really go too well for them last week, but definitely some good accuracies across the board for them from some of their core members. So it's something they can go to if they need to. And a No Mod 5 pick coming out then, first of all, from South Korea here.
It is an interesting one because although Norway haven't played much of the hiddens as a whole, when it comes to the low AR hidden, that reading pick, Norway are still quite adept at it. They had it two of the reading maps banned out against them last week in that hidden 2 and the No Mod 5, so clearly teams do still respect Norway's abilities on some of these lower AR picks. And this one here is overlap density reading. It is an incredibly tricky one, but South Korea going to be bringing in their reading roster. Does mean we are going to be seeing Soo Young in.
Yeah, again, and you've also got as well with this map, it's very low, 160 BPM, which combined with the lower approach rate of AR7, you've got so much density to this map, and the BPM really kind of plays on people's minds. This is just a really slow feeling map. It feels like it takes forever to get through anything. And you've got a lot of double taps and 1/4 and deceptive spacing, because there is some jumpy patterns in this map which can or will cause difficulty for some players, especially as we talked before with that skill cap issue that teams will start to encounter at this stage.
Yeah, you really have to keep your focus up throughout the entirety of this map, and it can be a little bit tough to adjust to this kind of really dense AR8 type rating as the first pick, especially if you've not kind of taken the time to warm up on the skill set right before the match, which teams may or may not have had time to do so. But I just want to call out Norway, has not made the semifinals since 2018 to March, so they're feeling really good to be back, and I think I'm curious to see if they're going to be able to play with the pressure off, because this is kind of either the expected result or an overperformance of the expected result for Norway, depending on what you thought they would place in the start of the tournament. And so Norway, like this tournament, I think you can count as a success for Norway no matter how this match goes. They're coming in as the underdogs for sure, but they had an incredibly strong showing last week, and I think they might be able to play with a little bit pressure, keeping that in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think at this point they've achieved what they wanted to achieve, and everything they take home now is just added points to really solidify themselves. And a breakpoint here would be absolutely massive for them. But we do see some early breaks coming in. Frodo and Yolkspy going to be dropping early on. There was also a very early combo reset for Melva, so Nineric the only one really on the full combo out of the gate. And immediately you're already starting to see some difficulty from this Norwegian side. But South Korea in a much stronger position with just that early break from Ali Grissimo to start us off.
Yeah, I did want to mention as well, this is an Osu original by Millie, so huge shout out there. Miyako is going to find the second miss for South Korea and even things out a little bit. This is a relatively short map, so these early misses are going to start to add up as Nope, KJK, and Melver are going to trade those combos. South Korea find themselves with a pretty comfortable lead early on here, but Miyako continues to miss. As long as they hold on to these two combos on Flying Tuna and Allegrissimo, South Korea are going to be in an incredibly comfortable spot. There goes Nineric as well now. It is just Yolkspy, the veteran player for Norway, holding strong here, trying to fend off two massive combos on the side of South Korea, and there goes Yolkspy as well.
Yeah, tragedy for Norway there. I mean, Yolkspy really struggling on the accuracy of this one, hitting so late. Again, that deceptiveness of how slow it actually is. But there is some rapid tapping in here, some bursts that catch you off guard. And Flying Tuna putting on absolute clinic getting through those tapping sections. Very well done. And kind of has an open road now in front of him to take this as far as he wants to go, because it already looks like Norway don't really have a chance to come back on this one.
Yeah, this one is looking decisive. Now it's just a question of how far can Flying Tuna take this combo. And I should correct myself from earlier. This is not an original. This is No Mod 5, not Hidden 2. Apologies for that. It's still early in the morning. I'm still waking up, but we'll get there. And Flying Tuna still holding that combo into the end of the map. Pretty much every other combo falling apart around him. Miyakoko drops that big combo as well, but an incredibly strong start to this match from South Korea. We'll see how Norway wants to fire back.
Yeah, again, it's that first pick of the matchup. There's the cat slider. And with such... it goes without saying, those early picks from whether you're South Korea or Norway, those first picks are going to be your best chance to pick up points in this matchup. And you said it at the start, and here it is to kick us off. It's Dreadnought.
Unsurprisingly, Norway have dominated picking. And I think the two players to watch on this one are going to be Nineric and Flying Tuna. Not only the 2 stars for their respective teams, but Nineric currently number 3 global on this pick. Tuna, number 5 global on this pick. So certainly not too far behind. This is an incredibly speedy map at 323 BPM. The depth bursts are very dense, but at 323 BPM, I don't think they're really all that mashable.
No, it's a lot of stacked streams. You know, you've got the single taps that kind of lead into them, so if you try and mash them, you're gonna break more than anything. The rest of it plays pretty much in a flow aim style, so I can see why Norway are going into this. They're kind of heavily relying on that sort of flow aim element, and just, again, not having to mash and having players that can play these high BPMs just benefit your team. It's that skill cap theme that we were talking about at the start. We saw it with South Korea on that first map. Flying Tuna going absolutely crazy on the first map, and I think there's a lot of pressure now sitting on the shoulders of mainly probably Nineric for Norway to kind of dominate on this map.
Yeah, interesting that we're not seeing My Keyboard or Chikori in for South Korea, 2 of their players that often do come in for these tapping focus maps. But instead we're going to get Carter, Lagrissimo, Tuna, and Suyong. And here we go into DT3, and just because of the nature of this match, Norway, they need to win these tapping picks early on, because once you run out of tapping picks for Norway, it just gets so much harder to find picks into South Korea. They're very capable on pretty much anything else left over in the pool. And so if you're giving up breakpoints on these early tapping picks, all of a sudden you're going to find yourself in hot water very quickly up against this South Korean roster. Let's see what they can do to start off on this DT3. They're going to start off with 2 early misses. It's not exactly what you want to see, but we'll just say they're getting the nerves out.
Yeah, big adjustment with this map as well. You know, on the approach rate side and the high BPM, especially for those players that are kind of carrying on from the previous map. But it's a very strong start here for South Korea. They haven't put a foot wrong. Honda are actually going to find a big reset there. And Norway just don't have the accuracy at the moment. They're relying heavily on Paper Candle and Nineric to carry that side, but Karcher will fall. That's a good one for them. Aside from Lagrissimo, though, South Korea looking really strong on this so far.
Yeah, but got the spike coming up shortly, and so far for Nor, unfortunately, Hunter has been struggling so much. Hasn't really been able to get past that 200-250 combo mark, down at 91% accuracy as well. And you look across at South Korea, and they've got all 4 members above 95, which is really helping with their score lead. They've been combo so far. Norway are absolutely still in this one. As long as they hold on to 3 combos, all it takes is one miss from South Korea, and this should go back over. But here's a pretty big spike coming up now. This is where we're going to start to see some more misses. Can South Korea hold on to this lead? This score lead continues to grow up to 300,000. There goes Paper Candle. That's an FC down for Norway, and it's still 3 full combos strong for South Korea. Karcher on a really nice recovery as well. End of March, we might be seeing a quick break point here.
Yeah, doesn't look good for Norway here on one of their stronger picks. We've still got big combos, but it's just Karcher who's finding the resets. The accuracies are too good on the side of South Korea, not strong enough on Norway's side. And with the ending, there's just nothing here left. And Ninare's gonna find the break of all people. Not who you wanted to see, but South Korea. What a gap between them and Norway. Not something I particularly expected. But it is a telling sign early on that South Korea, the champ difference, they are here to play today. And that is a strong team score on that map.
Oh, it's incredible. I mean, it's really hard to fault that pick from Norway. I mean, they put up 3 million team score on a semifinals DT3. And South Korea, no problem. They blew that out of the water. 3.6 million, nearly 3 FCs. Alagrissimo just missing right at the end. And for a roster that hasn't played much speed at all this tournament, that is an incredibly strong story. South Korea clearly on form this weekend, and they were last weekend as well. They had the 4th best average score of any team in quarterfinals, only behind those top 3 in the US, Australia, and Poland, of course. Now they've got the next pick, and they've got a lot of options. The entirety of the hidden pool is available. They've got no mod 4. They even have some interesting options in the free mod category if they want to go for something like that free mod 4. I think that's most likely potentially a later match pick for South Korea, but it is there if they want it.
Yeah, again, South Korea last week against Australia, very much heavy into picking mechanic-focused maps and a lot of tech mechanics, mainly. They also picked into rhythm maps as well, which worked out quite well for them, which lends themselves very well into that hidden pool, into that horror pool. They've got quite a bit that they can choose to go through if they really want to. Within that, though, there is a couple of free mods, but I think they're a little bit more risky for South Korea. This is a much safer pick, I think, Hidden 3 here.
Yeah, it certainly is. South Korea had the 2nd best score as a team on last week's Hidden 3. Flying Tuna was at the top of that leaderboard with the 1st overall score, so they're looking to bring that magic back on this hidden pick. And this one is somewhat similar. It's kind of a rhythmic flow alt pick, and I believe this was a China LAN original.
Yes. Yeah, I think you are correct on that one. And was a favourite of theirs in their match as well. That was one of their strong picks. And again, with it being very rhythmically favoured, okay, it's not as techy as the last one. It's got a lot more of the flow ult in this one, which kind of leans itself more towards Norway with the sort of flow aim stuff. But I think very much this is in South Korea's pocket picks, really. This is such a good map for them. You've got so much aim control. You know, you got the 1/4 aim control in the first like 2/3 of the map. And the rhythm itself is very complex tempo-wise and quite tricky to follow. So it'll be really interesting to see how Norway responds to this map, because it's something that I think in past years they would absolutely adore. But this is a very different Norway to what we're used to.
Yeah, it certainly is. They spec so much more into speed this year. But this is a really spiky map as well in some points. There are some absolutely brutal sections, and that tends to favor the higher skill cap team. It feels like a lot of these players on the side of South Korea could possibly nail those patterns, and all it takes is to get 1 or 2 players through those patterns, and all of a sudden you are flying, as Tuna is going to get into the lobby, that 4th for South Korea. Unsurprisingly, as Norway, they've just given up a break point. They would love to get one back, but not sure HD3 is going to be that map. Of course, never say never. We do play the maps out for a reason.
Absolutely, and as you know, the later we go into a matchup as well, the closer those scores tend to travel together. But we're still very much in the early stages as of now, so you're still heavily favouring South Korea into their early map picks. But we kick things off. There is an early break for Karcher to start this off, but accuracy still very much in South Korea's pocket out the gate.
Yeah, and these early misses shouldn't matter too much. The map is not that long, but there's a pretty decent difficulty spike coming up that should reset some combos on both sides, so you kind of expect that to equalize things. As so far, it's going to be 2 misses apiece, make that 3 misses for Norway, as here we go, difficulty spike coming up now. This is going to be the best indicator here of how comfortable both of these teams are. Tuna immediately finds a massive chain miss, dropping off one of those 2 remaining FCs for South Korea, but Karcher is on a really strong recovery to make up that difference, but not traded back on Norway. Now it is as Nineric drops, but so does Nope KJK. Regardless, South Korea find themselves again with a pretty big lead here. Norway should have a slight combo advantage with these recoveries on Yolkspie and Anthony, but the accuracy is killing them right now. 89 on Yolkspie makes this recovery combo not worth all that much.
Yeah, it's not really doing too much for them at this stage. It will have a bit more of an impact later on, but the accuracy, Yolkspie particularly struggling with this one at the moment, and it's not boding well. Leaving him in a bit of a deficit at the moment, but it's still recoverable, especially with the breaks still coming in from Note KJK, but a big one drop from Nineric. Yolkspie will find another reset. At the moment, still favouring South Korea as they start to pull away, and the break coming in with Melvin. It's just Anthony trying to hold the line, and he can't. The stiff spikes catch them out. Everyone but Allegrissimo still left on the board.
And this is such a brutal ending. Allegrissimo is on fire right now. It's the Allegrissimo show, as Norway can do nothing but watch as another point goes the way of South Korea. And it's a pretty decisive one as well. South Korea winning by 700,000 points. That is an incredible score by Allegrissimo. Should be able to close out this full combo. Norway, they do have a clear pick, a next pick. They've got kind of one tapping map left in the pool. I believe it was the, we'll see in a second, but I believe it was that Nomad 2 still left open. And so I think, without a doubt, they most likely... Oh, they're going to go for DT1 instead. Immediately proven wrong. Is they're going to go for the aim. It does have a little bit of tapping, but at 230 BPM, it's kind of some shorter bursts, so the speed isn't that much of a test. Although, to be fair, Norway had the top score on last week's DT1, so they're clearly very strong on maps like these. And South Korea really haven't played the DTs much at all this tournament, the DT1 included, and so I do like this pick from Norway.
As do I. I think it's very much still within their realms. Like we said at the start, they're very much going to want to pick into these higher BPM maps. This is a very balanced DT as well, DT1. You know, you've got the quite generous, slightly lower approach rate on this. It's not 10.3, which is in some ways can be cruel because it can feel very, very dense for mostly aim and tapping map. But there is a lot of finger control in this. You've got doubles, you've got quads, and you've got quite a few bursts mixed in as well for this one. So it's a real good all-round mechanics test. So South Korea definitely still in the running for this one.
Yeah, although aim is going to generally be the hardest part of this map, it's by no means your standard DT1. As you mentioned, DeMarch, a lot more focus on the tapping, on the finger control. And so you're going to see some players so both teams start bringing in their tapping rosters here, and I want to keep an eye on Paper Candle for this one, who has put up some really strong showings on some of these more aim-focused maps throughout the whole tournament. Really has been really good for Norway this year, and now we get Chipori in for South Korea. They're kind of DT fill and go-to tapping player, of course. Fine Tuna, rarely going to be leaving the lobby for this roster.
So some powerful individuals on both sides, from South Korea to Norway. Let's see if Norway can get that foothold on the board, get into the match. And then they can even try and focus on getting that breakpoint back. But it starts here on this DT1. Another breakpoint really going to leave them down in the dumps. But an early break there for Chipori as they adjust to this map. Bodes well for Norway as they take the early lead.
It does, and I think it has to start here for Norway, right? You've already given up one break point, and you really can't afford to give up a second, especially considering you are very quickly running out of DT and tapping picks. So if you give up a second break point here, especially on the DT1, South Korea feels like are just going to steamroll the rest of this match. So it is vital that Norway hold on to their combos, hold on to their accuracies here on Dread of the Grave. This map definitely takes a little bit to get into it, and so we're going to see some bigger combos. Really, you don't see that much mirror control until closer to the end, where it really picks up in difficulty. Our first big miss comes out from Melver, as Chipori has a nice recovery after that earlier miss, and that's going to be a pretty quick 50,000 point score lead over to South Korea, and they're going to continue to push this one. This one is actually relatively comfortable to play, so we should see some very high combos on both sides.
And at the moment, the ball is entirely in the court of South Korea. They are leading the charge at the moment. As Melva struggling a little bit on the side of Norway. Quincy making a good recovery though. Some good pressure being applied from Norway still though. Two big full combos with great accuracy. Actually much higher than the South Korean roster, but they've got the combo in the bag. Now we get into that more tapping heavy section. You can see the doubles coming in that section, so really mixed bag with this one. It's quite a long map for DT1.
It is, yeah, 3 minutes and 20 seconds. This isn't too much of a difficulty spike here. It's relatively consistent until we get towards the end of the map. We do start to get into some of the more finger controlled maps. We'll have to keep an eye on the accuracy. So far they've been really good for Norway, but could easily drop on this section. And Norway have certainly kept themselves in a good spot. If we see one or two of these FCs drop on South Korea, Norway are there with FCs of their own, ready to capitalize, ready to start to bring this score lead back over. But South Korea just don't find the misses to Marsh. Instead, it's Melver finding yet another miss, and Norway are going to fall further and further behind. South Korea finally find a miss on Chipori, but that was the earlier miss. Norway is going to need more than that. There is more. It's Ami Kokoro finding the next miss. Now it's 3 big combos to 2. Norway are going to start to bring this one back, but it's going over so slowly. They might need another miss.
Yeah, those combos were massive for South Korea. They will start to make up time on the accuracy, but a big break for everyone apart from one. There is one big combo left, and it sits with Paper Candle right now. You mentioned him at the start. Now absolutely in the prime position to take this point for Norway. Gotta hold though. Still got a quarter of this map left. Still a lot of pressure on the shoulders. Amamiya Kokoro is there with a big combo as well. So will pull back some of that score if the break comes in for Paper Candle. All eyes there, and there's the break for Amamiya Kokoro. It's Paper Candle to pull it back for Norway a little bit more into the ending section. I don't think there's much of this map left.
No, Paper Candle has survived the hardest part of this map by far. It's still 7,000 points, so if Paper Candle misses shortly, this still could go back over to South Korea, but certainly feels like Norway should be able to get a point here. And man, what a performance from Paper Candle. The aim demon for Norway. And Nineric, Paper in smoke. You know this team is going to be giving Paper Candle a few pats on the back after this one.
Spin to win? It can't be close enough, surely, with that big combo from Paper Candle.
I don't think so. I think it's too much of a score lead for Norway, although it is quite a long spinner, but 50,000 on a spinner is a lot. In fact, Norway, they're going to be gaining on the spinner anyways, so they'll be okay.
great team scores from both teams, to be honest. Those big combos from South Korea, not to be underestimated. An average of 750k roughly for South Korea on that is crazy impressive, but some big scores from three of the members from Norway as well. Nineric as well with that unfortunate break. Paper Candle was the only one to make it through that incredibly tricky section. And that's the carry performance you need to get on the board and start taking points in these matchups. We saw it with Aligrissimo in the previous map as well. We're starting to see that theme come up again and again and again. And it's now over to South Korea to continue their lead the best that they can.
Yeah, I think if you want to take on a team like South Korea in the semifinals, you need everybody on your roster to step up big, and Paper Candle has done exactly that. But Norway, they've got a point on the board, but they're far from out of the woods. South Korea, they've got the next pick, and they've still got what feels like a lot of options in this pool. They have the Hidden 1, they have the No Mod 4. They could even go for something like the Hard Rock 2 or the DT4, because Norway has really struggled with the precision picks so far in this tournament, whereas South Korea, they've not really played the precision much, but they did look quite solid on it in qualifiers at the very least. So the option is there. You know, it was one of the biggest sore gaps between these two teams in qualifiers was that Hard Rock 2. So from a distance, if they're not feeling the No Mod 4 or the Hidden 1 for some reason, then maybe they start looking towards precision instead.
Yeah, I definitely think with South Korea, with so much roster depth, especially on the higher skill rating, you know, so they've got a lot of their members from the Champions team last year. Definitely think they can still pick into a lot of those maps if they want to. Whereas I think Norway are going to start to struggle in the later points of the match. They probably will lean more heavily towards the no-mod maps and the free mod maps, particularly in the later stages. But this Hidden 1, what a classic.
Certainly is. We've got Strange Program, this awkward aim hidden map, and it is really about as awkward as it gets. There's a lot of kind of strange geometric patterns. You've got a little bit of splatter aim mixed in, and some really tough sections as well that are big difficulty spikes that you kind of expect to claim a lot of combos. But I don't know if I mentioned, but South Korea in the qualifiers had the highest average placement on hidden of any team in the tournament. So they look so good on these hidden picks. They showed that just now on the Hidden 3, and we'll see if they can do it again on the Hidden 1.
Yeah, I think we are in for a treat with this one. The storyboard for this map is insane. It has to be said.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Unfortunately, we do not have storyboards on Extreme because, quite frankly, we have enough Bancho troubles as it is. And I don't think Bancho would handle 8 storyboards all that well.
No, unfortunately not. I'm sorry to crush the hearts of so many. But hey, at least we've brought back an absolute classic in Strange Program. I mean, what is there to say? You know, I definitely think that we still talk about the hidden prowess of this Norwegian roster. They didn't look too good, though, on the Hidden 1 last week. But that being said, you know, it is still a hidden map. It's something that's very comfortable for them. It's a good bag of mixed skill sets here as well. So it isn't just raw aim mixed into this. There is a lot of high slider velocity to watch out for as well. So be prepared for those, as I'm sure these players are. But I think a lot of eyes going to be on South Korea to pick this one up, as we're still in that hidden favored portion of the pool for them.
Yeah, and although South Korea hasn't played all that much aim in this tournament, you go back just a year ago, and South Korea were the go-to aim team that pretty much wiped the floor with most other teams on these aim-focused picks. And they still have a lot of those players on the roster. Obviously, losing Hyuk hurts a lot on the aim, but the players you see on your screen are incredibly capable on these aim picks. As I say that, we do see two of them find very early misses, but that's a really tricky early pattern that we've seen claim a ton of misses. It is a to the map, and so we should expect to see some of those combos recover. We've seen all 4 players reset for Norway, but they're not going to be too far behind as long as they recover their combos. That's going to be the key, because this is a slightly easier section. It's still very difficult, clearly, and it's just more misses coming through for Norway. They're very quickly falling behind here.
It's these devious back and forth patterns that are catching a lot of players out at the moment. It's very much symmetrical aim in these early sections, and it is tricky to hit consistently, but there is one player who is still pulling home that big combo. It's no KJK. Like you mentioned, a key player for them in previous years, including this one from the looks of it, but does have some good support in Karcher. Melva's starting to bring things up. Never mind. I don't even know if I want to mention Nirik now. I'm too afraid.
Yeah, I wouldn't say anything. It's awfully dangerous. No KJK on the other hand, still holding that SC. Karcher, Flying Tuna, both on really strong recoveries. On a map like this one, where there isn't all that much combo in the map, 300,000 points is a pretty massive score gap, and it's going to take an absolute miracle for Norway to bring this one back. It didn't even have to mention Nirik, just had to think it, and there goes that combo as well. Norway just have no recovery. Karcher does find the miss, but it's not nearly enough. They're going to need about 5 more misses from Karcher, Tuna, and Nope KJK to bring this one back.
And there it is, the back and forths again, causing difficulty across the board. Catches out the last full combo, but you've still got Flying Tuna there with the biggest combo in the lobby at the moment, but some good support now for Norway. Just Yokes dropping that big combo. And Kokoro got a bit of combos. They will start. Never mind, it's gone again. Oh, a double break for Norway. It's back and forth constantly, but just one big combo for Paper Candle now. What have I done?
That is the trouble. South Korea, they constantly have this at least one big combo, often multiple, whereas Norway, they get occasional recoveries, but just not able to hold on long enough to make the difference. Flying Tuna finds the miss in the end, but at this point, it doesn't matter. It's another strong team score from South Korea. This is easily one of the hardest maps in the pool, as is evident from these team scores, and so 1.3 million I don't think is going to be the worst score on this map by any means. But unfortunately, the point will still go to South Korea, and they're going to be up 4-1 now. Norway, they need to win their own picks, and they need to find a break point at some point in this match. They've got a tough road ahead of them, but they do have the next pick. They do still have the Nomad 2 open, and we'll see if they want to opt into it.
Absolutely. I thought I'd just sit on the back burner towards the end of that map. But yes, there you are. Another solid pick for South Korea here. They are definitely still that dominant aim team that we've seen throughout the years. And that does lean themselves into opening up a few more maps for themselves. Got some good scores there, especially from Nirik once again for that Norwegian roster, but still looking for more picks. They've still got some options left.
Yeah, they went for Hard Rock 1. I was about to say that is a very surprising pick from Norway. They very quickly correct themselves before that pick is locked in. They're going to go for Hard Rock 2 instead, Stairway to the Universe. So it is actually going to be Norway who want to test their abilities on the Precision. This one is CS 6.8, so slightly smaller CS than a standard Hard Rock 2, but not by much. And it's going to be Snap Alt Precision pick.
Yeah, something that's a little bit different for this stage. You've got that CS 6.7. It's another slow BPM map, which causes its all-encompassing difficulties. You got some triples here and there, lots of variable spacing all over the shop. As the map, it's sort of a progressive map. The further you get into it, the harder it gets, the more the spacing changes. You know, the control element becomes more apparent. It just gets nastier. So the further you can take those early round combos into the late stage of the map, the better off your team score is going to be. And put more pressure on individual players to shine. Definitely something that South Korea can do with their high depth of roster, but does bode well for teams that have early map consistency, I would say.
Yeah, I think it is kind of telling that Norway has not opted to pick the no mod 2 at this point, instead going for that DT pick and then the Hard Rock 2. I guess is that the no mod 2 is just much too aim control heavy for Norway, a lot less on that absolute raw speed tapping. And so the Hard Rock 2 is an interesting pick. I definitely don't mind it if you feel like you're out of picks elsewhere, but it is scary. South Korea, I think, are going to have some very good chances on this pick. They had the second best score on last week's Hard Rock 1, and so I think South Korea has generally had the edge on Hard Rock throughout this tournament over Norway. But the precision is a different beast, right? Very subject to nerves, very subject to shit misses, and so we'll have to see. Maybe Norway can pull out something big here.
Yeah, it's a very volatile map. Something that is kind of suited for this middle stage. You don't want it too early when the nerves are there. You don't want it too late in the matchup because, again, the nerves are also apparent and you're not as hyper-focused. This is a great time to pick this map, really, in terms of the point in the matchup. Everyone's very warm, very much accustomed to the lobby setting now. And I talked about carrying those early combos in, and we've seen an early break there from Pinguinzi and Suyong there to trade it up, though. So it's an early break, and Mikey will going to be dropping early on.
Yeah, quite surprised not to see Karcher in for this one. Has been South Korea's go-to Hard Rock player on a lot of maps. On the side of Norway, though, I want to keep an eye on Pinguinzi on this one, who has put up some really strong Hard Rock scores for Norway in this tournament. We're going to get a few more early misses, and this is a pretty short map, so these early misses are definitely going to start to add up. And as we take thought, got Melver, the only one holding combo for Norway, Allegrissimo, the only one holding combo for South Korea. So a bit of a 1v1 going on as we're now a third of the way into the map. There goes Allegrissimo, but Melver immediately trades, and now it's all down to these recoveries. That makes my keyboard the highest combo in the lobbies. Unfortunately, Norway have found a full team reset, and although they have the score lead for now, that is not going to last long to march. Mia Rokogoro and Allegrissimo do find misses. That is going to keep the score lead in Norway's favor. And actually, there goes Suyong as well. So Norway will manage to hold on to their score lead, but my keyboard doing their best to bring this one back up to 400 combo now and growing.
Yeah, I'm very surprised, actually. Norway are still holding on to this lead. Their combos will start to build up, and they are ahead for the majority. Against South Korea, Paper Candle going to be finding another reset. But it is my keyboard. As the words come out of my mouth, I'm doing it again today. But there are breaks coming across the board. But you have got two big ones, Suyong and Amamiya Kokoro, on the side of South Korea. They finally pull the lead back. Pinguinzi to hold the line. Pinguinzi's gone, but so are the rest of South Korea's combos. It's a full reset for them, but it is a full reset for Norway. The difficulty spike on this map is intense. I don't think that scorebar is going to move much. It's 45k right at the ending.
We could see some chain misses into the ending. There's definitely time. It's only 20,000 points. If we see any chain misses, there's two, but it's not enough to march. It's 11,000. South Korea hold on, and they're going to be on match point.
Oh, that's tragedy for Norway there. So unfortunate. You could see the accuracy start to drop for South Korea. That's why that scorebar moved as much as it did. Very consistent from Norway, but it just wasn't enough. Couple of big combos, mainly from my keyboard. Allegrissimo as well, holding the line. Amamiya Kokoro with great accuracy as well. Just a little bit too much for Norway there. They can't quite pull it across the line, but solid 400Ks from everyone across the lobby. Very consistent from both teams there. Very unfortunate for Norway, though.
It is. But there you go. That's the consistency we like to see from these two teams. But yeah, unfortunately, I think Norway, they're going to be in a lot of trouble now, especially because South Korea, they've got the next pick. They've still got quite a few pick options open. And Norway have yet to find a break point so far in this match. And South Korea, you could go no mod 4. I mean, after that Hard Rock 2, I don't think you want to go DT4 necessarily anymore. I think, although they got the point, it was a little bit close for comfort. They're just happy to get out of that one with a break point. So I think you're looking for no mod 4 is, I mean, most likely in my mind, but also entirely reasonable for are some of those free mod picks. Free mod 1, I think, would be great for them as well.
Yeah, I think that no mod 4 leans so well into South Korea's pocket. You've got a lot of micro movement aim in there, which would work really well for them. There is the sort of control streams which might put them on the back foot if you've got players like Melva and Paper Candle probably going into that. So maybe they're not super confident wanting to go into this, but it feels like a heavy South Korea pick, really.
South Korea, they're going to have to use their timeout, and I have to say, this is quite a strange and unusual time to go for your timeout. You're up 5-1, you just took a break point, and it feels like you have a lot of picks open left in the pool. So I'm not sure what they're thinking about, what they're discussing. Maybe they're trying to decide between two maps, or maybe they are looking into something like that Hidden 2. Maybe they just want some extra time to look at it in editor and practice it a bit. So not entirely sure what the reasoning for this timeout is, but we may find out after the pick. I'm not sure it's a necessary timeout, but you know, they are entitled to the timeout. It's entirely within their right to use it. So you know, certainly can't fault South Korea for using all the tools at their disposal.
Yeah, and again, I do wonder if our thinking is in line with theirs. I think they were probably thinking that DT4 was something that they could probably transition into, but it was very, very close from both teams, very consistent, and in actuality, Norway had, for the majority of that, better accuracy on the sort of precision style stuff. So yeah, maybe they want to go a different direction. You've still got desert there that's open for you. We talked about the aim before as well, so maybe they want to take that angle potentially as well. South Korea, they've still got some heavy aim players, so plenty of aim to go into, and it's going to be Kaganai, Hard Rock 3, Kaganui even.
Yeah, this one makes a lot of sense as well. They're just going back to tech, the skill set that South Korea has looked best on. And especially the Hard Rock, I think, is entirely reasonable. Mind you, Norway did put up the second best score on last week's Hard Rock 3, so it by no means a free pick. And last week's Hard Rock 3 was tech as well, so Norway clearly rather at some of these Hard Rock tech picks. Obviously, what you mentioned at the start of the match, the margins that this semifinals pool is a whole lot harder. So sure, you can put up a great score on the quarterfinals Hard Rock 3. This one is a lot more difficult, and the question is, does Norway have the scaling to keep up with South Korea? It was Anthony who top scored last week's Hard Rock 3. Nineric, not far behind, had the fourth best score on last week's Hard Rock 3, so I think those may be the two players to watch this time around. Oh, and yeah. Are we getting timeout from Norway now?
Guys, it's not the tiebreaker.
I mean, I guess it's only fair, you know, South Korea had their timeout to go practice the map in editor. Now Norway got their chance. You know, it's only been in 55 seconds to March. You could do a full run through of this map during your time. Honestly, I suspect that's exactly what they're doing.
I don't doubt it. I think that's a very good response from Norway there to use their timeout to shoot back against South Korea, who definitely have gone for that practice run, and we'll try and get another one in before the time is up. And yes, like you mentioned last week, getting very good scores, old Norway on these on that Hard Rock 3. But they did show some weaknesses. You did heavily rely, especially with Yolkspy, on that Hard Rock 3. Was heavy combo favored. Only had a 94.81 on the accuracy, and the same with Melva. Very combo heavy score with 94.42 accuracy last week. So there are the early signs that Norway might not be as confident or have the same ability as South Korea on something like this. But again, it's a slightly different skill set, so it is something that does provide a bit of variety, a bit of variance in the information that obviously we're providing to you. So looking forward to this one when we eventually get to it.
Certainly, and as we wait for this Norway timeout to come to a close, I think this is the perfect time to remind everybody to go show some support for your favorite teams by getting a banner in the Osu shop. If your team ends up winning OWC, you'll get to keep the banner for the rest of the year, and you can have as many banners as you want. So if you want to support multiple teams, you can do so. And, you know, one lucky winner, well, most likely not, but you may win your very own timeout.
All provided with love and support from the host team here at the World Cup. So go and enjoy those banners. They are very, very yummy. I can confirm.
At the very least, it's just one timeout for each team. So after this, there will be no more timeouts for the rest of the match.
It could be the last map of the match as well. South Korea.
It's very possible.
Also on that match point. Can't forget that. They are 1 point away, and it is their pick going into this. But I believe this practice may make all the difference here. It could also throw South Korea off, having to practice that a second time. You've got the confidence. It's like, this is our map. We're ready for it. We've used the timeout. We're ready to pick into it. And then you have to play it again, and suddenly that second play, it's not as confident as the first one. You find a miss that you didn't prepare or anticipate for. Of course, I'm speculating because we've had so long to wait for this map, but here it is. It's Hard Rock 3.
Yeah, can Norway keep their tournament hopes alive here? Melver, Paper Candle, Anthony, and Nineric. Pressure is on for these four players. South Korea, they've got a few points to work with. They've got some space to breathe, but they still need to keep up this strong performance. We're going to get a few early misses, make that 3 early misses for South Korea. Only 1 on the side of Norway, and these early misses do matter. It's an incredibly short map, as we managed to listen to the entire thing during the timeout. Now I'll get to listen to it a second time as we see more coming through for Nineric and Shapori. South Korea have some good recoveries after those early misses. It looks like that early Tuna miss was Boncho, so I believe Tuna is still on that full combo alongside Paper Candle and Anthony not far behind him. Blind Tuna, I think that's a real miss now, but have to give it a few seconds to see, as now it's just Karcher for South Korea trying to fend off 2 big combos on the side of Norway. So Norway should be able to spring this score lead back over if they can hold on, but there goes Anthony. Blind Tuna trades. Paper Candle now in a 1v1 with Karcher. That is certainly not a player I'd want to be 1v1ing on Hard Rock, and Paper Candle just going to drop as well.
Yeah, we talked about it. It was the potential. It does look like Norway a little bit at that skill cap point. Very frustrated. Shakes there from Paper Candle. As going into that break, it looks like it's a South Korea show. Amamiya Kokoro with the big combo. Once again, breaks coming in though from their roster on the support, so a chance Amamiya Kokoro does find the break, but it's 220k with a quarter of the map left. This is going to have to go so wrong for South Korea here for Norway to bounce back.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of missed potential, but there's not much chain miss potential, unfortunately, and that's kind of what you need if you're Norway. They get 3 more misses on that ending just to seal the deal. I'm afraid it is too little, too late for Norway. It's been a valiant effort in this match, but South Korea are just too strong on this pool. So many good picks, and they're going to win this one 6-1.
Yeah, the practice does indeed make perfect for South Korea. 2 practice attempts leads them very comfortably into that 6-1 victory. They will advance in the lower bracket. Their lower bracket run begins now. But for one team it starts, the other team, it does indeed end. Norway bow out with a respectable performance here in the semi-final stage. Some great showings from their players. Absolutely fantastic stuff. They will definitely be back next year to show us more of what they can do, I have no doubt.
They certainly will. And although this loss is going to sting for Norway, they've kind of achieved what they set out to, I think, in this World Cup. They've made it back to the semifinals. They've outplaced their seeding. They've beaten some incredibly strong teams in Finland and Brazil, who they beat 6-4 last week. So they've got a lot to be proud of in this OWC. So commiserations to them on the loss. And one more huge congratulations to South Korea, who will be moving on to the second round of the losers bracket, where they're going to await the winner of United Kingdom versus Russia. That should be such a good matchup. We do have a couple more matches for today. First, we've got Germany versus Chile. That's going to be 16 UTC in just over an hour, followed up by that aforementioned match, United Kingdom versus Russia. Then technically tomorrow, but it is tonight for those of you in North America. We've got US versus Australia at 4 UTC Sunday, so a lot more exciting matches to come. I have been iFlame, joined by Demarsh. Thank you for joining me in the casting booth today. Don't forget to get your banners, enjoy them, and we'll see you soon for more OWC.